Well, happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there that are doing the mom thing, that are raising their kids, that are keeping them healthy, well-fed, growing them up to be strong individual human beings. We appreciate you, and thus we have a day to celebrate it. Now, you might think it's really hard being a mom, and I'm sure it is. But it's probably a lot harder to be a mom in the world of Berserk, where there are constantly wars, depression, famine, and the occasional apostle that's going to eat you, or the trolls that'll do much, much worse and make you the mother of some unholy god-forsaken abomination upon the world. But beyond that, there are some examples of decent moms in Berserk, though very, very few, and I thought it might be fun to take a minute, take this day to celebrate the Day of Moms, and do a top 10 best moms in Berserk. Now, yes, I was tempted to call this the best MILFs in Berserk, but some of these, I think it would be frowned upon. And the reason why is my number 10 is Guts' actual mom. Yes, the hanging corpse that we see at the beginning of the flashback of the Golden Age arc. Now, she's number 10 on this list because she was never a mom. I mean, in definition she was, but she died before Guts was even born. Guts never got to meet her, she never got to take care of Guts, she never even got to feed him once. I mean, what is she doing? Just hanging around while her baby splashes around in the afterbirth below her? Like, what a jerk. How could she allow this to happen? No, in all seriousness, it was really hard to find 10 characters that were moms in Berserk, and so this one is here. I mean, she counts. She existed. She was a mom. We still don't know why she was hung. It doesn't really matter. People think that Guts' lineage actually matters to the story, and that's not really the point of Guts' character. The point is the fact that he comes from nothing. He's not supposed to be some special person, and at this point in the story, it wouldn't matter if he was nobility or if he was impoverished or anything like that. It literally doesn't matter where Guts comes from, because Guts is basically, the cursed child. He was someone that wasn't meant to be born, or somebody probably would have been better off dying, and his involvement, his kind of place in the story is that he's not special, is that he is a human. He is just a regular person, obviously way super strong, but that's the idea behind it, is that he represents sort of that human spirit, that human will, that free will that we all have, and he's sort of meant to be that character that never really had a place in the world and finds himself as he struggles through life. So in a way, I guess you could say Guts' mom is the most important character for being absolutely no one, because that in itself gives Guts the importance of his character. Now, at my number 9, I'm putting the Queen, which is Charlotte's stepmom, actually. Some fans forget that this was not actually Charlotte's real mom. She'll show up a little bit later on this list. But this was a woman that the King of Midland married afterwards, and they didn't obviously have a very good marriage, as the king was obsessed with his deceased wife, and even more so his daughter, and the Queen herself was a little bit more obsessed with Julius, who was just kind of an asshole altogether. But so was the Queen, constantly conspiring behind the king's back, trying to assassinate Griffith. She did a lot of horrible things, and she wasn't really a great mom either. Although she did give Charlotte the advice that she probably shouldn't get with Griffith and she should give up hope on it, and in hindsight, that's actually pretty good advice. But the reasons why she was giving that advice was just because she was, a bitter, angry woman that didn't want to see a commoner succeed, and she was doing it from a place of privilege and a place of superiority, and she would just be probably considered a medieval Karen, and she got what she deserved. My number 8 is going to be Theresa's mom. So Theresa was a character in the Black Swordsman arc that we saw, which was the daughter of the Count. She was being held, not necessarily captive, but in a place of protection, because the Count didn't want her to get out, didn't want anything to happen to her and everything. And I can't really say anything about her status as a mom, because in the flashbacks, it seems like Theresa really misses her and was really sad about her passing and everything, and it looks like they had very happy family moments. So as a mom, I guess she was probably pretty decent. As a wife, she was absolutely horrible, because you come home from a long hard day of hunting heretics, you just want to be embraced within the arms of your lover, your wife. You haven't seen her in a long time, you want to see how she's doing, you want to be able to have that place of comfort, like your wife should be your place of peace, not your place of burden. And instead you walk in and you see a giant orgy of heretics and your wife is humping a Baphomet statue. I'm sure a lot of guys can relate to this. We've all been here before, and it sucks, and it sends you into a blinding, murderous rage, and then you sacrifice your wife to the God Hand to become a giant slug penis. I mean, it happens to us. This is the plight of men, and women just don't understand how hard this is. At my number 7, I'm going to put Charlotte's actual mom. Now, we don't really know anything, literally anything, about Charlotte's actual mom, but she must have been pretty cool, and she must have had a fire pussy because that king was obsessed with her to the point where just because his daughter looked like his deceased wife, he lusted over his own daughter. So, I mean, that's got to count for something. Now, as she was as an actual mom, I can't speak for it, but it seems like Charlotte misses her, so I'm sure she was pretty decent. Now, number 6 is Serpico's mom, and Serpico's mom's kind of an odd one, because in a way she did make Serpico's life worse because she got sick and she was sort of losing her mind. She sort of had dementia. Serpico had to take care of her and everything. But at the same time, she really wanted the best for Serpico because she knew where he actually belonged in the world. She knew that he was an aristocrat or somebody that should have been a noble because of his father, which was actually one of the most powerful, rich influencers in the entire story, Lord Vandemion. And of course, Serpico didn't really understand this as a child, and he did everything he could to take care of her. And as she was slowly losing her mind, she really wanted Serpico. She wanted the best for him. So I can say, like, as your duty as a mom, I think Serpico's mom really did kind of, fit the bill despite the horrible circumstances that they were living in. Now then, of course, they were estranged, and then she lost her mind even more and wound up being put in a position where she would be burned at the stake. In which case she had completely lost her mind at that point, didn't really even know who Serpico was. However, she's still his mom. And Serpico was put into this horrible position where if he admitted that this was actually his mother, something really bad probably would have happened to him as well. Farnese stuck up for him, so if Farnese was sticking up for him and something went down, basically, like, if he didn't do this, a lot of bad shit was going to happen. At the same time, Serpico does have to live with the fact that he burned his mom at the stake, so that's pretty freaking horrible, and everybody remember that on Mother's Day. At number 5, I'm going to put Farnese's mom. Now, she doesn't actually have a name. A lot of these characters don't have names, really. Farnese's mom is sort of a mixed bag as well, because when Farnese actually needed a caretaker, she needed a parental influence, she needed guidance as a child, she didn't have one. Her father was always away on business, and her mother wasn't around either, and so she was kind of left to her own devices, which caused her to begin to have the chaotic need for somebody to accept her and some kind of purpose, which led her into doing all of the crazy things that she wound up doing in life. Then later in the story, of course, where Farnese is trying to decide whether or not to go back to her rich noble life or to continue her adventure with Guts, Farnese's mom shows up out of nowhere and of course gives great motherly advice. And this is great, but a little bit too late. I mean, I can't knock her completely because she is doing something good for the benefit of her child, not for the benefit of herself. It would probably benefit her more if Farnese was more sort of in the family circuit and everything and got married off and everything that they wanted her to do. And she kind of like convinced Farnese to do what she wanted. So that's great, but like, where were you 10 years ago? Where were you when she was a toddler? I mean, it's too little too late, but I appreciate the effort. At my number 4, I got Shisu. And Shisu is basically who you could consider Guts's mom. She is the one that was with Gambino's mercenary band that found Guts in the puddle. She wanted to take him in. She wanted to look after him. She kind of like was losing her mind as well, but she had a good kind of spirit behind her. She wanted to be a mom. She wanted to take care of the kid. She had that parental instinct to not let the child just die there. She had to convince Gambino to bring Guts along, to actually have him be in the mercenary band. And so I appreciate what she did for that, and she raised him really well for a couple of years. Then she got the plague and she was dying, and Guts was only 3 years old, and Guts just wanted to be close to her, but she told him to stay away because she didn't want him to get the plague too. So Guts essentially had to watch his mother figure die, and then of course Gambino blamed Guts for it happening in the first place. So it was really not a fun time. At my number 3, I'm going to put Flora, and I know that there's no confirmation at all that Flora is Shurikei's actual mom, but just like Shisu, Flora kind of worked as a surrogate mom and actually raised Shurikei and taught her everything that she knows, taught her in the ways of magic, taught her to appreciate nature and the balance between the physical and the astral world, and taught her basically everything that we see Shurikei do within the story was all because of Flora. And Flora even sort of sacrificed her life in order for Shurikei to escape. She did all of the things that you would expect a good parental character to do for Shurikei, for a character, and so for that, I'm counting Flora as a mom. And I know that even Shurikei says, mistress, and doesn't call her mom and doesn't think of her as an actual biological mother, but I'm just saying Flora checks all the boxes, man. Of everybody that I've listed here so far, I think Flora does the best job. There's only 2 moms in the story that I think could potentially be better than Flora, and I'm going to get to them right now. At my number 2 pick, hey, it's got to be Casca. Even though the majority of the time that we've seen Casca actually with child was when Casca lost her mind and she wasn't all there. She was in her Elaine state. She didn't really know what was going on. She still had that inherent instinctual maternal instinct, and every time that the Moonlight Boy shows up, she instinctively sensed him, went to him, and took care of him as a mother would for a child. And I think that's pretty spectacular. Also, even before the Moonlight Child was around, when it was still in its demon baby form, it was always there looking after Casca, trying to protect Casca, and they had this connection together. And I think it's just a wonderful thing that it's sort of poignant in a way that you don't need actual words in order to have that sort of parental connection, at least for like a mother-child sort of connection. Like, they're drawn to each other, they want to protect each other, and it's always a cute emotional thing. And that moment where we see the Moonlight Boy, where they're on the beach and he tries to climb up on Guts' shoulders, take the armor off, falls, we get that great sort of family shot of what could have been. It's just a beautiful thing. And so obviously Casca deserves to be very, very high on this list. She's probably the central maternal figure in the story. And of course, if I was doing a MILF list, she would be number one. And the absolute best mom in all of Berserk is this random unnamed character from the Conviction arc, chapter 135 in volume 18, for those of you that want to go read it yourself. As the refugees try to take more food than they were allowed, the Holy Iron Chain Knights are going to act vengeance upon them, and one of the characters holds up her child and says, please, this child is too weak to nurse, I can't feed it myself, it really needs help, it's a child, it's innocent, and we need you to help with this in some way. And to this, the great Mosgus Inquisitor says that he will help her despite her sinning in her own way, and they take her back to the tower in order to help the child. The mother is relieved, everything is going to plan. And then Mosgus says, you know, it's great for you to do this for your child, it's an amazing thing. However, you still sinned. You still took more food than was offered to you. This was not your food. And so, you need to be punished. And so Mosgus takes the mother into the literal torture chamber. We're talking about medieval torture. We're talking about the worst things that you can possibly imagine. We're talking about a chair of nails. We're talking about hot coals to the feet. We're talking about being fed hot boiling liquid. We're talking about being hung upside down. We're talking about torture wheels. We're talking about the worst possible things you could even imagine. But for Mosgus, it wasn't up to him. It was up to the will of God. And that's the scariest part about this to me. That's why Mosgus was such a scary character. And that's why this is the best mom in Berserk. Because she literally was sent to the torture chamber, stripped of her clothes, sat in a spiked chair, and had hot coals put on her feet in order for God to come and save her in some way, which was never going to happen. She literally sacrificed herself in order for her child to be properly fed and taken care of, the innocent child that would have died otherwise. And because of that, I honor, respect, and totally admire this unnamed character who we will never know, who is the mother of some child that we will also probably never know in the manga. But that is such a sacrifice that I believe that this no doubt qualifies her to be the best mom in all of Berserk. Anyways, guys, there's my list of the top 10 best moms in Berserk. Let me know if I forgot any, and let me know how you would rank these moms or any other moms in Berserk if there are, if I missed any. I might have missed one or two, I'm not sure. It's very hard to come up with 10, but this is my ranking for them. Let me know what you think. Also, if you are a mom yourself, happy Mother's Day. I hope you have a good one, and thank you for all that you do. Thank you for carrying the child, being able to have it and raise it, and I know it's a really, really hard job. It's a hard thing to do, so thank you for doing the miraculous thing that your body is able to do that my male body cannot, for actually conceiving a child, carrying it, raising it. It's an amazing thing. So happy Mother's Day to all you ladies out there. Thank you for watching this video. Check the link in the description for my Patreon merch store and all my social media links. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more Berserk manga and whatever else content. Other than that, guys, hope you have a wonderful day. I'll talk to you next time.